I didn't get it done.
Well, this Saturday is September 11th, so the prayer is reflecting that. Lord of mercy, 9/11 carries a heavy burden of memory. This day does not pass in the calendar without our remembering. We remember images of death and destruction. We imagine the feeling of emptiness in the arms of children who at the end of the day could not find their mom or dad for their welcome home hug. We remember our own feeling of emptiness as our own sense of security, as our own confidence in the predictable order of life and work was radically shaken. Remember the heroism of many that lost their lives in saving others. Remember all those who suffered and died. We grieve for them still, friends and strangers alike, along with their families and friends. And it is right that it should not pass from our memory. Lord, we will always remember. Lord, grant us peace. Amen.
Amen.
So on September 2nd, for transit, I approved hiring Joseph Koziol to the position of part-time transit driver to be effective September 20th, 2021 at the rate of $14.83 per hour with a 1-year probationary period. This offer of employment is contingent upon the successful completion of the required pre-employment conditions. And I also approved a one-time waiver of the policy of the maximum 6 months for unpaid medical leave of absence, as employee Andrea Scheid is unable to return to work, therefore extending the unpaid medical leave for the period September 5th, 2021 through September 14th, 2021, and that waiver was due to the inability to obtain the necessary paperwork.
Thank you, Jay. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning. Okay, today's financials include an appropriations transfers to the sheriff for miscellaneous reimbursements and web checks that were deposited into the general fund. Among the encumbrances are an increase from the commissioners to Donnelly's Independence for change order number 4 for upgrades to the building generator and security. Then and nows for municipal court for appointed council fees that were not previously encumbered. A travel request from Transit to attend the 2021 Ohio Public Transit Authority Conference, and from the Treasurer's Office to attend the 2021 County Treasurer Association of Ohio Conference. Formal contract PO from Water Resources to Viking Painting LLC for the Geauga County Water Towers Painting and Improvements Project. Among the vouchers are $44,150 from the Commissioner's Office to Lake Geauga Recovery Centers for the county's share of an assistant to the jail treatment program, and $324,536.61 from the Engineer's Office to Roniak Paving Incorporated for the asphalt resurfacing of Auburn Road sections F through H and Nauvoo Road section A, and finally a revenue certification from Water Resources in their operating fund for additional fees to be received in 2021.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Day?
Aye.
Commissioner DeWitt?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adrian.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Hi, Nick.
Item 3 on the agenda is requesting the board invalidate the award and all bids received for the asphalt resurfacing of Bass Lake Road, sections A through C, in accordance with ORC 153.12, as the award and execution of the contract was not completed within 60 days.
So just explain that.
Yep.
So the project, any contract that we put out, any bids that we put out by the ORC, we have to award and execute, so that's signed by all parties, awarded and signed by all parties within that 60-day period. So that did not happen on this project, so we exceeded it. By the time the contracts were back around, we were 3 days behind. We missed it by 3 days.
So then you guys will rebid
The
then?
project will go back out to bid, we'll schedule, we'll come back to you with a resolution to order with new dates to rebid that. Hopefully, that back out here within a few weeks.
And did you guys open bids on that?
We did, you
We
actually
did.
awarded.
We awarded it, it just was not signed.
I see. So on their part or ours or?
Administrative, it was, the documents were lost in translation, so.
Okay.
So it's a both party, but ultimately ours, we've added some fail-safes in our system to kind of add in, hey, we need to be checking to make sure these are done, and if not, there's avenues if they're delayed within the ORC by mutual consent. We've done that before on some, but just this one slid.
So let me ask you, like in a situation like that where you do this, open up the bids and now everybody kind of knows where everybody was at, do we just pretty much do the same thing again, and would it be for the same job?
It will be the same project. Specs would be revised based on current improvements, changes to specifications. Our estimate may be revised based on industry numbers, dollars and cents, material specs.
Okay.
So there will be revisions to the document, updated to,
Okay.
so there will be some changes, but unfortunately, yeah, that's the case of what happens.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, and I'll make a motion.
Second?
Mr. Spitaleri?
Aye.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes.
Item 4 on the agenda is requesting the board accept, approve, and execute the construction plans for Big Dipper Road located in Bainbridge Township for the proposed right-of-way and utility easements only, and this does not include the sanitary sewer or water line reconstruction, as these are, or construction, as the sanitary and water are part of a JED, which with the Aurora, and those are being reviewed and soon to be submitted to the EPA for approval.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mr. Spitaleri?
Aye.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes.
Once these are signed, I'd like to pick these up so I can get them scanned into our.
You just have to open them and sign them.
Oh.
We can do that.
Okay, good.
Put the magic marker or pen?
No, you can just use a pen. No magic marker on this one. Linda did come in case there was any questions.
Today's 9/9.
Today is 9/9.
Big Dipper Road.
Big Dipper Road, yes, sir.
I'm used to print stuff.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, it was fun. You can take them with you, sir.
Okay. The last one for me on the agenda is item 5, is requesting the board approve and execute resolution 21-112 to order the reconstruction of Bundysburg Road Bridge in Parkman Township. Further, this resolution sets a bid opening of Wednesday, October 13th at 2 p.m. Notice of this bid opening will be advertised on September 16th and September 23rd. So we've already signed the plans. This is just saying clear out the bid and get this project moving forward.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Second?
Mr. Spitaleri?
Aye.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Nick. Take care now. Have a good day.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good
morning.
morning.
Good to have you back.
Glad to be back. God's country, Geological. So I have two. Say again? My first item, we're requesting the board approve and authorize the president to execute the request for partial payment number 14 and Ohio Water Development Authority contractor's estimate number 10 for the retainage and final payment for Workman Industrial Services for the Alton Corners wastewater plant in the amount of $231,420.82.
I'll make that motion.
I second the motion.
Mr. Spitaleri?
Aye.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes. Now, are they completely off the premises and the job is completely done?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've been done for quite a while, actually. They're just waiting on the filters to, so we can monitor them and make sure they're okay. So it's all done.
Okay. Okay.
They do it all 1 year maintenance bond.
Okay.
And then the next item, we're requesting the board approve and execute the agreement between Geauga County Board of Commissioners and HDR Engineering for engineering services for the McFarland Creek wastewater treatment plant upgrade and renovation project in the amount of $1,164,712.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes. Now with this upgrading, how long before we have to upgrade it again? Or a different section of the plant?
This is for the design and engineering through which we will decide which course of action we're going to take on the upgrade of the plant. Currently, we have two options. One option is to stick with the membranes. The other option is to go back to extended air. We're tending to lean towards extended air right now because it would be easier to operate, less problematic, and we can handle the flows we're getting out there. So, how long, if we went extended air, it would just be routine maintenance for the foreseeable future. Membranes are very touchy and high maintenance and high cost. So that's why we're looking at it. However, we just finished an extensive cleaning of the two membrane chambers, which required heavy lift crane to pull all those out of the two trains we cleaned, and we've been able to double the flow. But again, membranes don't last forever. About every, was it 10 years, Jerry?
About 10 years, 10 to 12 years.
You have to replace them, and it's like a $5 million cost, so.
Wow.
But the capacity of the plant is designed and will be designed for build out of the existing system that's there. Sort of expanding that if need be through edict from the EPA like we're doing in Chardon Township, their capacity. So there'd be no reason to increase capacity.
Yeah, on a rainy day, we can get up to 3.6, 3.8 million gallons. And the plant's rated to handle 1.8. So there is surge capacity, of course, but not for long term. So that's why we're struggling with that.
Well, thank you for the details.
You got it, fellow Americans. Thank you.
Take care, Steve.
Andy's coming up.
Hey, Steve. You know what I forgot to ask you? Did you want to make any mention of your veterans thing?
Oh, this weekend on Saturday, we have the Geauga County Veterans Sports Fest with the Blue Line group. It's at Middlefield Great Lakes Outdoor Supply. It's the third annual year, and it's a big deal because it's the 20th anniversary of 9/11. And it's a phenomenal event. If you don't want to go during the day, I suggest you come by about 7:30 for the best fireworks display you'll see, especially for kids, grandkids and stuff. It's phenomenal. It really is.
Thank
So,
you, Steve.
please come out and support the vets. And the police, and the
Yeah.
emergency workers. Environment.
First responders.
All of the above.
How are you, buddy?
Commissioner Smith?
Good,
Good
good.
morning.
August 30th, the Chardon Township trustees submitted a petition to this office to the commissioners requesting to vacate the public right-of-way upon Wisner Road, all of Section C, pursuant to Section 555.045 of the revised code. This would be the third portion of Wisner that we have they vacate on. There's two.
So this would be the second part of last, or 2 weeks, I think you were 2 weeks ago?
No, this is totally different.
Totally different.
Totally different road.
There's Township.
Yes.
We've got, that's coming.
So this is to, the first motion, number 8, is to acknowledge the receipt of the petition from Chardon Township Board of Trustees. And then the second action here is to approve and execute the resolution of convenience and necessity for the proposed vacation of public right-of-way upon portion of Wisner, which is all of Section C in Chardon Township, and set a public viewing and a public hearing and advertisement for this vacation.
So tell us a little bit about this one.
Basically, this is phase 2, something that happened, we started in 2012.
Right, because didn't we go down where we
Yes.
were
Yes.
by the waterfall, or not that broken bridge or whatever?
The southern end.
Yeah, yeah.
Kirkland. And there was a bridge there, the road had washed out. Holden actually constructed a new bridge and left behind, which is going to be similar in this action, a non-motorized vehicle easement for basically foot access, horses, things of that nature, to the river. That's what's been expressed at the township meeting. Joe and myself were invited to attend. And that concern came up with the section that mimicked the other section that was vacated. So there's still access to the river itself. Other than that, basically a road to nowhere. Again, one house that was sold, I think we're not ready to buy the property, it's called Holden's.
Yeah, remember the Fallon
Fallon
Daily property?
That was that
Maybe
one
that
up on
way.
that hill.
Well, do you remember when the Holden came and asked for your support
Yep, yep.
for gaining the grant to buy the property?
Yeah.
They received that,
Okay.
and so that property has now transferred, and because of that transfer, now that this action is coming before you.
Okay. So the public will still have access through the Holden
To the river.
to the river.
The section that was vacated between this point and the last vacation of the south does not have that easement on it.
Okay.
It's just to the river, so there's kind of from the north and the south, access will be maintained
Okay.
for fishing and recreational purposes.
Okay.
ODNR is going to be notified as part of the process. There's a lot of steps in these processes. This one's a little different than the one at Hamden, being that there's a river here, and the
Okay.
road was actually constructed.
And about how many feet is it, the road?
1,400, I believe.
Okay.
1,400
All right.
to the river. The easement's not quite as long because the existing terminus goes past the old creek, which is the access point to the river.
So then we'll have a public hearing on it?
Yeah, viewing on site as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and not in February.
Yeah.
It's
please.
1,430.64 feet.
Okay.
So it's
Fair enough.
a similar process with different facets to it.
All right, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Spiller?
Aye.
Commissioner DeWark?
Yes.
And that was on 8 and
8 and 9.
9. 8 and 9.
Very
Because
good.
that was the petition and then the.
Do you need to smack?
Doesn't follow.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Very good,
That's
thank you.
part of
You need a good day.
our ordinance from today. No. This is the 9/11 one.
This-
That's the resolution for the vacation.
Okay. Okay, item number 10.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah. Since you wrote it.
A resolution in honor and memory of events of 20 years ago on September 11, 2001, and all those that were lost in tragedy of those events. Whereas September 11, 2001 started as just a routine day, or so it seemed for the passengers as they boarded Flight 11 and Flight 175 in Boston, Flight 77 in DC, and Flight 93 in Newark, unknowing that hijackers were among them on the planes with a plan to carry out a malicious attack. Whereas Flight 11, after being overtaken by the hijackers aboard, was intentionally flown fully intact at 8:46 a.m. into the north face of the North Tower, One World Trade Center, entering the building between floors 93 and 99. Just minutes later, Flight 175, that had also been overtaken, was intentionally flown into the south face of South Tower, 2 World Trade Center, at 9:03 a.m., entering between floors 77 and 85, and causing parts of the plane to leave the building upon impact on the east and north sides that landed several blocks away in the city. Whereas Flight 93 was over northeast Ohio at 9:28 a.m. when the hijackers abroad began to take over the plane, changing the flight path and heading towards the southeast. Many residents of Geauga County reported seeing the plane fly over. Passengers on board of Flight 93 heard of the events at the World Trade Center and began to fight against the hijackers, which caused the plane to crash at 10:03 a.m. into a field near Shanksville in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. Whereas, while those passengers were fighting, Flight 77 had also been taken over by the hijackers and was intentionally flown into the western side of the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m., causing a violent fire in the building. Whereas, just 56 minutes after the impact of Flight 175 into the South Tower, it collapsed at 9:59 a.m. 1 hour and 42 minutes after the impact of Flight 11 into the North Tower, it collapsed at 10:28 a.m. The Marriott Hotel, located at the base of the 2 towers, was destroyed when the towers fell. At 10:50 a.m., 5 stories within the Pentagon collapsed from the intense fire. Whereas first responders, including firefighters and law enforcement, immediately began their response when the first tower was impacted, coming from stations all over the city. As the planes were flown into buildings and other locations, first responders rushed to aid in what they hoped to be a rescue, but sadly became more of a recovery effort. Whereas firefighters, law enforcement, and military personnel responded and fought to assist with saving lives, but sadly, almost 3,000 people perished in the events of that day. Among those lost included the passengers and crew aboard the 4 planes, 343 firefighters and paramedics, 23 New York City police officers, and 37 Port Authority police officers, and 55 military personnel at the Pentagon. Several Jug County firefighters and police officers responded to assist in the life-saving and recovery efforts in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. Whereas 22 years later, September 11th, 2021, we still remember the events of that day, the tragedy, the loss, and the continued effects that those events have had over the years, and the tragedy that continues to unfold from the impact of exposure. We will never forget. Today, we honor those lost, we honor the bravery of those that fought and those that responded. Therefore be it resolved, the Jug County Board of Commissioners do hereby remember the events of September 11, 2001, and honor all those that were lost in the tragic events of that day.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Spudler.
Aye.
Commissioner DeWark.
Yes.
And you have that resolution there. Sorry.
Now, the newly appointed interim administrator for the Department of Health, Adam Litke, is here to address the board in his new position, introduce himself.
Come on down.
Come on down.
Christine, thank you for that resolution, because I don't know how nobody's not tearing up after hearing that. I don't know how you wouldn't. Just to introduce myself, my name is Adam Litke. I'm, as of right now, the interim administrator for Geological Public Health. I've worked there for about 5 years doing the finances and human resources to some degree, depending on what was requested and what we needed. I also have been with Lake County Public Health, or Lake County Health Department, for about 7 years. Before that, I worked for a private audit firm for about 7 years, managing audits there and doing things like that. My main goal, as I was talking to Mr. Morgan and Mrs. Blair about yesterday, is to really bring back the public's opinion of the health department. In the short time that I'll probably be there until they find a qualified person to take over, or whatever direction they go with. I have full confidence in the board that they're going to do the best they can do for the county. I think that's the goal here, is to make sure the county is well taken care of, and that everything within the county is taken care of. I know we lost a lot of public opinion. We lost some of the trust that the public had in us, and our goal is to win that back and do whatever we can to help with that. Again, the board is very invested in making sure the county is the best county that it can be, and to help the public and to do whatever we can. I do apologize for being late. We were actually on the call with the superintendents. We were trying to help them. I've got 2 young kids. I'm sure some people here have kids as well, and our goal is to keep those kids in school, and that's the fight right now that everybody's having, is how do you keep kids in school with COVID, amongst other things. So we're working on some new guidance there, hopefully to help out, to keep kids in school and not have them out of school and not shut these schools down any more than already's been done. We're definitely hearing a lot of just horror stories of mental health, physical health, and other things with kids not being able to get together, not being able to communicate, not being able to do things freely as they used to. And then I'm a huge sports fan, so I want to make sure these kids can go out there, get that physical exercise, and do everything they can do, and things like that. I just want to take the time today to at least say hello to everybody here, introduce myself. I will gladly shake your hand when we're done, and I'll give you my cell phone number. I answer pretty much 24/7, as most people know, so if you need something, you can call or text me, and I'll try to get that information to you as quickly as possible, and we'll help out wherever possible. But our goal right now is to just help the public in any way that we can, and we are making some quick moving adjustments to different things inside the health department based on public feedback with septic systems and other things, to try to make that system and that process a whole lot easier, faster, smoother. So we're working in those areas as well, hopefully to help the public, which then will hopefully alleviate some of your jobs too, with dealing with some of the blowback that might come back from different things. And mainly, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. If the county's divided, it's going to fall. If the county's united, you have a united front, you're probably going to survive and you're going to weather the storm. So that's the goal right now, is to make sure that we can all at least find some middle ground somewhere and weather the storm that's going on right now.
No, we really respect the fact that you're here. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great attitude, and I really think the majority of Geauga County's people feel the same way as you do. And it's like, if we're united, we could combat anything.
Agreed, 100% agreed. That's our goal with this. So, I said at the end here, I'll give you guys my cell phone number, and anything you have or need, just feel free to reach out, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And the big things, like accreditation, stuff like that, I mean, obviously we were able to do that. We're doing some other things within the health department. We'll make the changes elsewhere throughout the county too, to kind of win all that trust back with everybody.
Sounds good.
All right.
Rich, you want to say a couple words from the board?
Sure, I guess. So, yes,
I'm not putting you on the spot.
you're always putting me on the spot, but thank you for that. Yes, the board has a lot of faith in Adam. We've known him. He's helped with the finances for 5 years, and we've gotten remarks, from when we go up to budget. Jim Clays with the prosecutor's office. Chuck Walder have, both remarked about how great the finances have been and how poor they were done previously. So we have great faith in Adam, and we like I said, as a board, we are 100% behind him, and he knows that we expect nothing but the best, and we want to make this health department the best it can ever be for Geauga County, and we need to be conscious of all citizens, not just a few. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Yeah, very good.
All right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely.
And then, does Chrissy have your cell number and everything?
Yeah, I'll write it all down. I'll give it to you guys just so you have it.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, nice. Anything else, Jerry? You're good?
We're good.
Public comment? Go ahead.
You want to talk first? Go for it.
Do you guys want to come up
Are
together?
you guys together?
Why don't you guys all come up
Come on up.
together?
Well, actually, okay. I just have a public comment in respect to Adam Lutsky. I'm sorry. He's from what I understand, we're facing the most critical health issue of our time. And I think we need someone in the position that has a public health background. I don't think a degree or expertise in finance is the main qualification for this position. And I was at the Geauga Board of Health meeting where Tom Quaid was terminated, and we're grateful for that. However, a lot of what was brought to surface was that the board, under the leadership of Tom Quaid, wasn't really looking at medical truth outside of the CDC. So we're looking, the community, including myself, we're looking for a candidate that's qualified, but is not impartial to some of the doctors and institutions that have been categorically censored by big tech. So the virus has not been isolated. The PCR tests cannot test for said virus. Does 5G play into what our hospitals are being introduced to as COVID symptoms? The therapeutics such as hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin are being shunned by the CDC. We need, we cannot continue to battle this sickness that people are coming down with, shortness of breath, fatigue. But we cannot continue to implement policies that are not based on truth and that are actually harmful, such as masking children in school, or which masking someone, a child, for 4 hours with a 10-minute break taxes their immune system. The masks have graphene oxide in them and EO, ethylene oxide, which are both carcinogenic. So we need a interim health director and the permanent health director to recognize truth and not just go with the CDC recommendations. So thank you for your time. And no offense, Adam, you seem like a nice person.
I'm actually not the health commissioner. I'm the administrator. The health commissioner is Dr. Reed. She's a doctor with United UH.
Okay, well, okay, then disregard but the main component is we need a health commissioner that isn't in lockstep with the corporate medical establishment that has been, and we need policy that does not violate constitutional rights. We need policies and solutions that are based in logic, reason, medical truth, and are consistent with the U.S. Constitution. Right. So I just ask, as this person, we receive applications, that this person is vetted so that we don't get more of the same with Tom Quaid, who was an ideologue, pretty much, and more political than, we don't need political agendas. We need to move Geauga County forward, and let's lead the state with a whole, like a comprehensive plan that incorporates holistic and natural solutions, not just big tech COVID vaccinations that do not prevent. The CDC director was on CNN a week ago and admitted that these COVID injections do not prevent the transmission or infection of SARS coronavirus 2.
That's right.
So, why? So we need to acknowledge the facts. We can't continue to play politics. And we need a commissioner that isn't here to implement policy lockstep with the World Health Organization, the CDC. This needs to be local, where we have a board. They need to come up with solutions, vet the information, and not be solely dependent on these entities like the CDC, NIH, OSHA, etc. Okay, so thank you very much.
Can you just state your name for the public record?
Yes, my name is Anna, with 2 N's, Peric, P as in Paul, ERIC. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it.
Thank you
Oh,
very much.
oh, okay.
Hope to see you again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay.
All right.
Okay, why don't we all come up together? Okay, I'm Amy Bliss. I don't know how do you keep your records. Okay, so the First Amendment of the Constitution, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for the redress of grievances. We, the people living on Geauga County land, have formed a First Amendment assembly for Geauga County. So as part of putting that on public record, we would like to read to you and share, we gave to Christine earlier, a copy of our county settlement covenant.
County Settlement Covenant, Geauga County, is our preamble. We, the sovereign people living on the land in Geauga County, a free and independent state, in order to live together in harmony under common law of the Almighty Creator, to facilitate the avoidance of disputes, to facilitate the quick settlement of disputes which might arise, to provide for organized defense of life, liberty, and private property, to protect and administer public property for the benefit of the inhabitants, and to make certain limited agreements with other settlements of sovereign people for mutual benefit, ordain common accord and recognition the following. Notice. Date July 8th, 2021 comes now, inhabitants of Geauga County, by absolute writ of habeas corpus, and with absolute resolve rebuke all corporate authority. And with absolute resolve rebuke all corporate authority. County Settlement Covenant in Geauga County, original Assembly and Library of Records on date June 25th, 2021. Gives this county settlement announcement. Geauga County Settlement Covenant, and in harmony with all 88 counties, we find Article 1. By Almighty God granting us freedom, by unanimous decree, the local peoples in local peaceable lawful assembly, in settlement covenant in Ohio, a free and independent state, a member with other free and independent states, also known as Republic, for the United States of America, set forth the following affirmations. Section 1. Local people and family of man and woman centered in Almighty God live on local land and use way land in people jurisdiction in grace affirmed by the authority of the unanimous Declaration of Independence, circa 1776, and Bill of Rights, Articles the 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, circa 1787, 1791, through 2020 and beyond the reach of predator others, and also living in friendship and in peace treaties, circa 1789 to 1791 and beyond the reach of predator others, and also affirmed by Article 3 of the Judiciary, Section 7, circa 1803, Ohio Constitution and the Covenant of Ohio, a free and independent state, circa 2020. Now local people by local common consent do name, affirm, ordain, establish, and continue local settlement covenant in Geauga County and other county settlements and covenant of Ohio, a free and independent state and nation, America settlement, as their absolute accumulated legacy prepaid with blood taken from family of man and woman centered in Almighty God, who came before and granted local people almighty freedom. Section 2, Local County Settlement Covenant in Geauga County affirms natural inherent rights, one with the spirit of man as the absolute dominion belonging to each man and woman, local people and family of man living in grace on local land in Local County Settlement Covenant in Geauga County, in people jurisdiction affirmed by the authority of the unanimous Declaration of Independence, circa 1776, and Bill of Rights, Articles the 5th, 7th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 1787, 1791, 2020, and beyond, and friendship in peace. Section 3, Local County Settlement Covenant in Geauga County, one with the spirit of man, is the free exercise of all natural inherent rights, which is unlimited in scope and is our lawful inheritance to be defended and protected from abuse by all means. A, free spirit. Free will with free choice is originally one with the spirit of man, and by blood caused slavery of any kind is an abomination to all natural inherent rights. Each man and woman, local people living on local land in people jurisdiction, reject slavery in any form, and we reject legal fiction, oxymorons, and libel of any kind, including ex-felon status quo, by cause of cruel and unusual punishment. B, personal empowerment, prosperity, and responsibility of family of man and woman remain one with the spirit of man, and by cause personal empowerment, prosperity, and personal responsibility of family continue beyond the reach of bogus barriers or restrictions erected by state agencies, agents, and predator others. In Section 4, subject to existing and prior rights, land and local county settlement, covenant in Geauga County, uses the survey tract nets and bounds as boundary for Geauga County and as soon as practical be defined and recorded in the county records library.
Article 2, Section 1. Settlement in Geauga County is fundamental local law in sustaining the free exercise of right of women, men, and families in grace to exercise, defend, and protect their property, their liberty, their prosperity, their posterity, their inheritance, their existing political rights from abuse by evil intent by public or private persons or predators, others who would invade, attack, attach, steal, pillage, plunder, pervert, redistribute, or spoil any part of their prepaid, absolute, accumulated legacy.
Article 3, Section 1, the local county settlement covenant in Geauga County endows, authorizes, and establishes limited and peaceful lawful assemblies open to each and every man and woman, local people living in grace on local land without exemption, to freely provide responses in a lawful manner on all issues related to their rights and liberties. Local common law action requires an injured party originator. Proper use of peaceful, lawful assembly is essential to the free exercise of all rights. Local settlement in Geauga County settlement endows, authorizes peaceful, lawful assembly limited by simple, understandable rules and procedures consistent to local county settlement covenant in Geauga County. Local county settlement covenant in Geauga County authorizes peaceful, lawful assembly of limited duration by cause of originator, and each and every assembly is dissolved after service of lawful purpose. Local settlement covenant of Geauga County authorizes a library of records and selection of moderator and recording secretary from among the first 13 or more witnesses to arrive and volunteer to perform the functions necessary to create accurate records. Local county settlement covenant in Geauga County directs any truthful documents of abuse to rights and liberties as witnessed by local peaceful lawful people assembled shall be entrusted to local justice court or under rules of distributive justice invoking full witness protection.
We're almost done. Article 4, Section 1. Local county settlement covenant, Geauga County settlement, establishes limited de jure grand jury from local assembly, open to each and every man and woman, local people living in grace on the land, after workshop training without exception, to freely provide their response in a lawful manner on all issues related to their rights and liberties, including the use of subpoena and summons for truth, and the use of findings of fact, conclusions of law, and construction and presentation of findings or presentments as findings of truth and or other documents. This de jure grand jury is endowed with the authority to deliberate and issue a no bill if insufficient evidence exists, and a true bill when sufficient evidence exists, and to deliver these presentments to proper judicial authorities for further action. Proper use of instance matter specific de jure grand jury in local assemblies is essential to the free exercise of all rights. Runaway grand jury witch hunts are prohibited. Common law action requires an injured party originator claimant under full disclosure of affidavit and bond. Local county settlement covenant in Geauga County authorizes 13 members and 1 alternate member to form a lawful de jure grand jury from local jural assembly, representing a cross-section of ages, occupations, and peoples living in grace on the land, and willing to serve in jurisdictions using Article 9, circa 1791, Article 9th, in suits at common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law. In peace and friendship, not limited by bogus barriers erected by de facto county or state of Ohio. It's the local county settlement covenant in Geauga County authorizes selection of a moderator, acting, signing as foreman or forewoman, and clerks for telling minutes, recording, filing correspondence, etc., rather than clerk court's recorder, or bring these legal fictions from sea onto land. Brackets are used to keep us safe from warring foreign alien invaders bound under war bond or otherwise. Local county settlement covenant in Geauga County authorizes local peaceful assembly and council for the specific law use of direct presentment of notice, information, warrants, or orders under de jure operation of law to the specific Chief Justice liable and responsible for the actions of judges and courts within the respective Chief Justice jurisdiction, or for direct presentment to the de jure or de facto U.S. Supreme Court with respect to Constitution and treaties. Quote, no one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it, close quote. 16 American Jurisprudence, 2D C 177 late, 2D 256, Norton versus Shelby, the complete version of Arizona versus Miranda Lopez decision, and Douglas versus Seacoast Products. These sites are for information and education of the truth that the de facto judicial system ignores or avoids. Thank you for your time.
Geauga County is now a de jure
Let
county.
me just,
Thank you very
let me
much.
just say this, so I applaud what you guys are doing, and, you know, this board here, you know, I actually, you know, brought up the motion to have us submit a letter to the Board of Health
Thank you.
to do something just in support of, you know, something needed to be done. And, you know, I've been accused of being opinionated sometimes, but I'm also an elected official. I'm not an employee, I'm elected. And I speak for the people, and that's probably why I've been elected 3 different times, and you know, in contested races every time. But what I can tell you is this, is that we need to start to hold people accountable and be involved in these with the trustees that are making the selections from these townships. The Board of Commissioners only represents with one. And, you know, I was at the last appointment meeting at the Board of Health, and we had a situation that I saw with my own 2 eyes of 2 people that basically were going to step down and made it known that they were going to step down, okay? And all of a sudden, there was somebody that had put their name in for that position that they didn't care for, that all of a sudden there was, you know, some kind of an went outside and talk deal, and all of a sudden these 2 people are back into the race, you know, totally, as far as I'm concerned, it was totally unethical and a situation that was totally wrong. It's no different than, you know, the process that we have to go through as elected officials. We have to go and file at the Board of Elections, and there's a deadline. We have to get petitions signed to be able to have enough signatures that have to get validated to put your name on a ballot, and then you basically can go on the ballot. Okay, when I went to the Board of Health that day for the meeting, Commissioner Dvorak was I believe out of town, so I went in his place.
I was a little ill because I had my second COVID shot.
Okay, yeah. So
I had Sandroff took my place.
So I took Commissioner Dvorak's place, and when I went there, you know, there was no candidates that were running for this position. One that had put his name, and then all of a sudden, two people walked outside, came back in, and all of a sudden, now they're back in the mix, and those 2 people were put back within their responsible areas on the board. I was sick to my stomach, and I walked out because I saw it. What I thought was Geauga County was better than that. But I can tell you this, is you need to start to hold your trustees from your townships, and I expect you to hold us accountable also, because we work for you. And I try my best to, I have no problem when I campaign to express what values I had. I've got a daughter, she just started at John Carroll University. She's wearing a mask. And she's been sick every day because of the fact that she's having a hard time breathing. So I understand whoever was saying that with the mask situation is that I think it's a real problem. And I'm also involved in law enforcement, that I'm seeing the other side of this every day, of the suicides, of the mental health issues, of all the other things that we're responding to with young adults, because of the fact that it's just this whole thing has got residual effects that are really, really affecting our world. And I applaud you from standing up, but I will tell you this, is you got to start to take control of your school boards and the people that represent you. You've got to start to take control of your trustees who represent you, because at the end of the day, once you lose that, Those are the people that are making decisions. And if you have the wrong people in the wrong places, you are going to basically become a slave to your politicians. And that is the best way that I could put it.
Thank you for saying that.
Thank you, Rob.
Because what we are noticing, and we are on top of the school boards, I can assure you of that. And we are holding those individuals who have taken oaths of office and their appointed employees who have taken those oaths responsible to uphold the Constitution and to defend the rights of the people. Because like you said, you are hired to serve us. We are the people who are being infringed upon, who are being taken our rights away, and it is our responsibility as a collective to ensure that our rights are standing true to us ourselves. So I applaud you, I thank you for saying that, and I hope that the rest of the commissioners, those absent, are on the same mindset as you are. But I can assure you that we as an assembly and as a people of this county will be holding people responsible to those oaths that they took, which is the supreme law of this land. Thank you.
I appreciated when I talked to you a month or so ago, you did kind of raise concerns about the school boards, and we have done a lot of work in that area, and it's an ongoing process of.
Yeah,
And we
as
expect
things will
those
start
individuals to also, that have been served up the chain, who have taken those oaths, to live up to their oaths that they took. And if they are not,
right.
they are also in de facto.
Well, what we've lost is, you know, and I say this all the time, you know, the three ingredients basically to success, you know, is family, faith, and education. And if we lose those three, we pretty much are in a situation where we're going to collapse. And that's pretty much, you know, and you start to go through that, where is our family, where is our faith, and where's our education? And all three of those are being challenged every day, you know, and it's a situation that we have. If there's not a family, then there needs to be a community to pick up that young, you know, those young kids to bring them through. If there's not, you know, family, then hopefully they've got the faith to bring them through. And if not, we're hopefully relying on education that is not corrupting the minds of our kids and making our kids smart and leaders and be able to defend and make good decisions, not influence them with their own personal agendas. And it's like I've, you know, gotten into arguments with my daughter's schools in the past. You know, your job is to educate. Your job is not to build social thought process of her belief system. That's my job, and it should be the parents' job. And you know, we're in a very challenging time and place in our world. And
How do we go about performing forensic audits on these school boards and other agencies in this county? Because if we, the people, collectively want to come forward and say a forensic audit needs to be done, because in my off-the-wall opinion, I believe all of these school boards throughout not just this county, they're getting paid money from the U.S. Department of Education to enforce a fraudulent sort of education plan which compensates them money.
And not to cut you off, but I mean, there's a lot of programs, and it's no different than there's grants that we would love to take advantage of, but we don't because there's certain strings attached that we're not going to, that we'll do without, so that we don't have to comply with some of these ridiculous things that they want us to do to get money. And it's no different than the education system. There's grants out there and there's funding that you have to fulfill certain criteria. One of the biggest farces is this whole critical race theory that they're trying to shove down people's throats in order to try to hold funding back. If you're not teaching it as part of the curriculum, this is, you know, you're going to have the risk of losing funding. It's the most ridiculous, you know, BS stuff that's out there, and it's just, so what they're trying to do is that once again, it comes down to is if you elect bad people, you get bad results. That's the best way I could put it, because if the right people were in those places, you wouldn't be having this situation. But unfortunately, here's the problem. The whole silent majority is that exactly. They don't want to step up to the plate. When I talk to those, you know, young ladies that are here today, and I told them, I says, you need to get involved, you need to run for school board, you need to run for trustees, you need to do this, you need to do that. If you have those values, then you need to run. But unfortunately, nobody wants to step up to the plate Because when you do try to make a statement, you got two people like sitting right there in the front row that are gonna try to bash you every time you say something. I could care less. You know, my beliefs is my beliefs, and I respond to one person, because at the end of this life, I've got to report to one person. So these two clowns that want to say something, they can say it all they want, but it has nothing to do with my values and my morals. And at the end of the day, people don't want to get in the ring because they're afraid to get punched. So I tell people, step up to the plate, because you're going to heal. That's it.
Right. No,
I have one, Ralph. Diane and Tom here are good people, and they don't mean it in a nasty way any more than I do. And it's wrong that we even have to do it. What happened to Quaid was right. What's going on? I live in South Russell Village, and I'm embarrassed with our mayor and some of the other people there. They won't even show the flags for 9/11. They won't show the flags for first responders.
Yeah.
And it has to stop.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to go so far as to mention two people in the front row, I think you ought to be a braver, more courageous individual and mention them by name so everybody in this room can know who exactly are the culprits that you are talking about, Ralph.
I wouldn't give you the pride of giving
Well, you were the one who brought it up,
That's
but
right.
you are pretty much chicken shit, as it turns out.
I'm not chicken shit,
Thank
because I
you.
have no problem telling you to your face that what you report
Well,
is
we don't
absolute
care either.
bullshit.
Are you a
Shoot
news
us.
reporter? What
I am.
Oh, you're a news reporter.
What paper are you?
I don't know these two.
Yes, sir.
Chicken Valley.
I just want to help out you guys with the question. You'd asked about the forensic audit of the schools. Are you talking about the finances or like their voting record?
Everything.
All the
Everything.
above.
Okay, so I used to do audits for a living. If you go to if you literally Google Ohio State Auditor, there's a website there, and you can search all their audits for the past, usually it's 15 years.
I don't trust them, sorry to say.
Well, so those
If I were to do if I would want a forensic audit done, it would have to be a private party, third party, not affiliated with the de facto state.
Yeah,
that we're living
so
in.
they have to post there. I work for a private entity. We did those, so we're subcontracted out. So we have to do it as a third party. We have no interaction with the state at all, other than we bill the school and the school pays us. That's it. So
But
those are
you're-
completely third parties.
But you are affiliated because you're working with the
They're paying the
system.
bill.
You're in the system. You're part of.
Okay, and I'm just letting you know. I mean, so we don't have. When I used to do that, it was completely separate. We never dealt with the state. All we do is submit a document saying here's what it is, and they have to prove it. Well, they don't prove it. They just say okay, we submit it, and you're correct. But just so you know, they are on that
I think
website.
there has
and
to
you can
be
get
some
all of that.
vetting procedures done by the people to determine who would do that forensic audit. I would me personally, I wouldn't trust anyone that just comes out of the state picking, cherry picked and.
Yeah, it's actually an open bid procedure, so you have to, all the firms are probably, there's 10 to 15 firms that go, and they have to bid in there, and they have to show their qualifications. I don't need to take your time, sorry. Ralph, I just want to give the option
I
if you
appreciate you
have
saying
that.
something, because you know this probably more than I can answer that.
I mean, not everyone here knows me. I mean, I'm a huge First Second Amendment fan. I mean, I'm a huge Second Amendment fan because I shoot competitively around the U.S. with some companies. Those are all open book bid type things where you know if you wanted to go do it, you had a CPA, you could go in there and say I want to bid $10, and if you won, you get the job. The state doesn't have any say in it at all. Like actually, the school or the city or the township or the county or whoever says you're the lowest bid, you get it. Just like everything else that we bid out here, it's the lowest and best bid. So I understand where you're coming from. I just want to at least give you the information that is all there.
It's good to know.
And
I
you
think
can
it's
get it.
something that we.
And you can do public records requests as well. I'm a huge fan of public records requests. So if you request that information within reason of what they have to give that to you. I do that for Geauga and for Lake. And I hope to see you guys at our board meeting, which is the 22nd. It's not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday we'll have one. So hopefully we can see people there.
What time is that meeting?
5 p.m. 5 p.m. Over in the big conference room. I call it the
Big
conference room.
building A.
Building A, sorry.
The conference room.
Excuse me, what is your name so we can have it in the record?
Teresa Dinello.
Would you spell that, please?
DINALLO.
And just to follow up with the elected officials, there's 16 townships, each one gets one vote. I think they meet towards the end of March every year if there's an opening for the 5-person board for the health board. And it also includes one vote from Burton Village, Middlefield Village, Aquila Village, South Russell Village, and in the city of Chardon. So there's 21 people that pick the board, and I think it's a 5-person board, and then those people can hire or fire the health director. And that's how the
It's
system
good to
works.
know, so we know which direction the chain kind of goes.
Yeah.
To hold accountability, so that's good to know.
And if you come to our meeting, we can go through that whole thing with you, how, where, when, why, and the minutes are posted, the meeting's posted, and, I'm sure the commission will talk about it as we get closer to that one. I don't recall if anybody's up for re-upping this time, but, by all means, if you send an email or let me know, I can get you a list of when their terms are up.
Yes, ma'am.
May I just get I don't like that they were referred to as clowns. But
I'm not
I mean,
rescinding that,
Yeah,
so-
but I know, and I too, sometimes say
Yeah.
things that maybe.
What do you think of me, Ralph?
I think you're a great man.
Thank you.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I met them at the Geauga Board of Health meeting, and may we know your names?
Yes, Tom Jones and Diane Jones.
Okay, Tom and
We've
Diane.
we are 26-year residents of Geauga County.
right.
We were 2 professional people, and we gave it all up to start our own farm, our own horse farm, which we have done for 25 years and continue. And in the meantime, we had an experience such as you are relating, that you have had, and we had that with our own township, which decided, in our opinion, to violate our rights. And we took them to task and took them to court and won. And in the process of having that experience, we decided that being public advocates was a very good idea on many grounds. And so for years and years, we have gone to as many public meetings as we can with a video camera, and we have recorded the events for everybody who is there, especially those who can't come. And what we've discovered is that there are apparently some individuals in public life who feel very threatened, and that's up to them, and that's up to the electorate afterward to make the decision as to who is the best qualified to represent the people.
Right, and you put a write-up on the unanimous.
I think you did.
Decision to terminate Concrete, and so I appreciate you being there at that meeting.
Yeah.
Right,
And writing.
and
And
I
it-
understand that there were some differences of opinion, and that's fine. On the other hand, the individuals who had the differences of opinion never came to us to express their concerns. So what we wrote stands as our own opinion, and we do have the video to back it up.
Okay, and it's Tom and Diane Jones.
It's Tom and Diane.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, one more question in the back. Go ahead.
Very much.
And your name, please?
Maria Gerard. Maria Yvonne Gerard.
Okay, go ahead.
Quickly, we have, all of us are very entitled to have our own personal opinions and our own ideas. We're entitled to that, and the Constitution gives us that. Let us all, as Geauga residents, work with one common goal. And I think that there is one thing that can unite us all. And that one thing is this book. I am a naturalized citizen, and I gave everything up to uphold the Constitution. I renounce to any power, any foreign government, to uphold this Constitution according to the oath that I gave. So, according to that, let us, all of us here, consciously work together to uphold these. The Constitution, Article 6, Section 2. This Constitution and the law of the United States, which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Anything with capital letters in the Constitution or laws of any state to the Constitution, contrary to it is notwithstanding. So we need to hold this up. And that's the thing that is going to be uniting us. Any policy, any code that opposes that doesn't have any withstanding. And we need to be one on that. We are one people, and we have to work as one people.
I want to say one thing. Why don't we get together with our boards of education and see if they will allow us to distribute the Constitution of the United States to all the students in the school? They won't allow it.
Well,
And
that's
Constitution
what
Day,
they
they have to if they receive federal funds. They work for us and.
But they won't, but if you go and talk to them, they are not going to allow it.
There's a procedure you have to follow to remove board members who are unconstitutionally doing a job.
I'm saying right now, 2021,
Right,
the
because you
school
have board
boards in
members.
Geauga County will not allow you to distribute the Constitution of the United
Because
States to
you
the
have-
students.
Because you have board members who are not upholding they hate this country.
That's right.
They hate this country is what it comes down to. If you are not upholding to the Constitution, you are an enemy of this country. Plain and simple.
I
They
served
need
in
to be
Vietnam
removed.
and pledged to hold the Constitution against all enemies, local or domestic and foreign. And guess what? It's not happening now. I gave him 26 years, and I'm embarrassed that I was even in the Navy.
Well, I believe there's a very strong process that has to be followed, and it's not with petitions, it's not with protesting, it's done
No.
with pen and paper, and it has to be done in the
What
right
we're
way.
doing here today, with the commissioners,
Right.
which are good people, and everybody in this room are good people. We can't allow us to be railroaded in the future. And part of it is also, like in South Russell Village, we're being railroaded there right now.
You should join ours.
And the Geauga County, or excuse me, the Chagrin, the school, all my children and grandchildren went to Chagrin schools. And I'm embarrassed now to say they did. They got a good education, but the kids there today are not being well educated at all.
Did they really get a good education?
Yes, they did.
Because I asked myself,
Because
if
I
they
was
did,
there
they
with
would
them at
know.
home.
If they did, they would know, just like the rest of us would know the Constitution.
My
They're not
children,
teaching this to us purposely. They don't want us to know.
they don't know. I had a meeting the other day with two gentlemen. One was my grandson, and the first thing I hand out to him is a copy of the Constitution.
Okay, thank you. We're going to, appreciate all the comments, but time to adjourn the
Thank you
meeting.
very much.
Second.
Oh, great.
Yeah, yeah, good. Thanks again for coming in.
Friends of mine.